Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So this is my first video that I'm putting out just for the Fighting Talkers. However, it will go out eventually, but welcome back. Bit of a different one today again. And this is the making of. Now, if you haven't already watched the I Stole a Plane video, I'll put a link to it up there. So click on that, go and watch that first. Otherwise this won't make any sense to you, will it? So go and watch that video and then pop back. Right, so this is a bit of a side to my life that like a lot of you won't know, obviously, and I've never shared it on the channel, but clearly I've got a pilot's license. Now, anyone who's done any flying will have spotted the little bits, me putting the car beat away when we were at 400 feet and stuff like that. You'll know all these little things that I was doing that clearly showed I knew what I was doing, I'd like to think. So I thought I'd explain some of it really and what it was all about. So about 11 years ago now, I decided, maybe 12 years ago, I decided I wanted to scratch the itch that was learning to fly. So I did. I went and did all my ground exams. In fact, I did all my ground exams before I even flew a plane. And then I went and did my practical flying training. So I smashed through my practical flying training, and I ended up with a full private pilot's license, which enables me to fly anything with a single engine and piston. So that was that. I then started adding competencies and currencies to it, and ultimately I ended up in a job. I'll fast forward a lot of it, but I basically ended up in a job for 3 years where I was flying for a living. It was great. I did lots of different stuff, like I was towing gliders into the air, I was doing instructing. So I've done quite a lot. I've flown all over Europe, and then about 6 years ago, I got the opportunity to buy this, and this is another vehicle that you haven't met on the channel, but this is Paige. So this is called Paige because the reg is Paige. But yeah, there she is. So I've had her for 6 years. She's all tucked away now. Obviously, after our flight the other day, which I filmed, but the wings fold and everything. So she's a cool bit of kit. So I've had her about 6 years. Full like leather interior, and you know, it's got everything that you could possibly need to go pretty much wherever I want to go. And that's what I do. I fly about a lot. Take people flying as much as I can. I'll try and explain a few things. Why didn't I carry on like the whole commercial pilot training stuff? And I'll tell you why. I get bored of stuff quite quickly. I get bored of hobbies, bored of things. That's why I do so many different things. But what happened was, when I was flying for a living, I started to get fed up with going to work, and ultimately flying was my hobby. And there's nothing worse, I tell you now straight up, there's nothing worse when you've got a hobby and you end up getting paid for that hobby, and then you start not liking the hobby, because then at the weekends you've got this amazing achievement that you can take people flying, take your family flying. I'll put some, you know, I've taken, all my kids have obviously been up with me. I'll talk to you when the Harley Davidson of the skies disappears. Speak to you in a minute. See, I can't really remember what I was saying now, but obviously, like eventually with everything, the novelty wears off everything. So I needed to find something I could do with this to like push myself more and more. So I've been all over. I've crossed the channel a few times, Isle of Man for lunch, flying to France for lunch, and all that sort of stuff. But I've also, what I do, I raise a lot of money for charity. So whenever there's like people, local companies local organisations doing like charity raffles, and they want local businesses to donate prizes, what I'll do is I'll donate an hour's flight in Paige for whoever wins the raffle, and it always ends up as the top like prize. But I would say we've probably raised, me and Paige have probably raised to date about 8 grand, including we got some young lad who had some rare cancer. We got him flown abroad to get some treatment, and that's all with this absolute beautiful machine. She's beautiful to fly. I hope you enjoyed the footage. I really enjoyed filming it. It felt a bit weird. I felt like an actor. I think I should be awarded an Oscar for that performance. But you know what? It was good fun. And I hope you can take it as the fun in it, rather than me thinking that I was lying to you. I wasn't. Well, I suppose I was, but yeah, it's all good fun. We do a lot of good together, me and Paige. But yeah, I thought, do you know what? I've got to do a making of video. So the one thing I wanted to explain to you, because there's going to be, and I've already had some messages off a few Karens going, well, even if you are a pilot, you shouldn't have You didn't do your walk round checks, you didn't do your power checks, and you didn't do pre-landing check. Right, I did, obviously, and I edited it. So I edited all that out. So I'll show you a few little bits now. So it was actually the second flight of the day. I'd taken my mate Luke, he'd been up flying with me. He wanted to go and see his town that he was from, so we went and flew around that. We'd already done that, so the plane had already been checked, like out and checked and flown. Kicked him out, and I set up the camera and I set up everything. So that was that. Then obviously I was doing radio calls with the, I had the headset on, but when I've got the microphone next to my mouth, I speak quite quietly. So I'll play a little bit now of me doing some radio calls to air traffic control. Golf India Golf lining up runway 19 for immediate departure. Brakes are off. So there you go, I was making calls, and then pre-landing, I actually took off, went off, did a whole flight, did a load of emergency training on my own, and then restarted the camera as I was getting back towards the airfield. So yeah, so thanks very much for all the messages going, well, you didn't do this and you didn't do that. I was also, you'll notice that I was playing music over when I was coming into land. That's because I was on final, and I'm not going to start messing around with talking to the camera whilst I'm in a critical phase of flight. So everything was above board, everything's legal. I've got a full pilot's license, and this is my plane, my insurance, and it was my little adventure. And actually, the person to blame for that whole video is a guy called Stu Two Dads. I call him Two Dads because he's got two surnames. Think about it. But yeah, so he was the one who said to me, you should do a video pretending that you're going out to a plane that needs recovery, and you end up taking off in it. So it was he planted the seed, and that was about 4 months ago, and it's taken me this long to get around to doing it. So yeah, so that's the story. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you take it on face value, a bit of tongue-in-cheek, messing around. But yeah, and me and Paigey will continue to raise lots of money for charity every year and do lots of good for the world. So thank you very much for joining me for this, I suppose, personal little video about something, a little insight into my personal life. I'm very happy doing what I do, flying for fun. I don't want to fly for a living. I don't want to go any further with it. I do what I do and I enjoy it. But yeah, if anyone's ever thinking about flying, you want to know anything about it, drop me a message and I'll talk you through it. So that's the end of this one. It's a little bit weird, a little bit boring, but I hope it explains. And remember, we've got loads of people now joining the Fighting Talkers. Remember, you can join in and get your name on the truck. So thanks very much, guys. I'll see you on the next one.
Don't look before you leave. What you give, you get to keep. So long, farewell.